Welcome to 3D.sk, human photo reference for 3D artists and game developers. On this site you can find thousands of images, from studio photo reference to street photo reference. We also have a selection of animals on our site. We have some costumes, we have weapons, armor. We also have 3D scans of bodies and heads, clothing, animals, all the aforementioned above, and 3D maps and textures. Welcome to the next episode of this tutorial series. In this episode, we're going to be removing the cap from the head and replacing it with just a sphere that we can use as a basis for recreating the head that's underneath. We'll also be removing the hair. So let's start off by creating this into a Dynamesh. So I'm going to go to maybe 512 and see how much resolution I get off that. Let's hide the subtool below it. So this is probably enough for now. Just going around checking everything. This will probably give us what we need for now. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go around and I'm going to mask off areas that I want to get rid of. So I'm just going to mask it all off by pressing Ctrl A, going to my mask lasso, and just getting rid of large areas. Also have to get rid of the ear. This is just a rough estimate of what you want. Doesn't have to be perfect yet. Let's just get the ears definitely out of there. Let's get the hair back in there a little bit. Okay, now we can go back to our mask pen and we can more finely tune this. Let's just say we don't want any of this hair here, but we do want all the ear area. I'm just going to mask off that. Maybe mask off this bit of hair here. Let's try and get it really as close as you can. We don't want any of these artifacts really showing through. Going round, masking off this, but keeping the ear as same as on the other side. Going round. Maybe I can keep a little bit here. Just try and really keep as much as you can. I think I might just kind of create like a barrier here. Okay, to me this seems okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to get this area and go geometry, polygroups, and I'm going to group masked. Now you'll see that I've got this polygroup and I can hide it and we can see what we're left with. Now you can go to modify topology, delete hidden. Then we can go around again. We can get some more bits that we don't want. Just checking for any kind of random hair pieces that are around, such as here. Let's just go to group masked, polygroup, group masked, and then group again. Let's get these areas. And then you're going to do the same thing again, which is delete hidden. Didn't mean to do that. So now that we've got this, what we want to do is we want to create the rest of the head. So how we're going to do that is we're going to get a sphere 3D, which you can get from going append sphere 3D. We're going to change to the sphere. Let's scale it down a little bit and let's move it, because what we want to do is we want to create this so it kind of mimics his head that's underneath the cap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to maybe turn on transparency to have a look at what's going on. Okay. So let's say that his head was roughly this shape. Now what we can do is we can use our trim rectangle tool to cut off the sides. You can even do it at an angle so it more suits it more. Just cut it off about here. Okay, we want to cut it off to about where the ears start so it can attach nicely onto them. Okay, now I can mirror and weld. Okay, that's gave us some flat plane to work with. Now what we want to do is we want to use our move tool, and we just want to kind of move this head around a little bit. So you should probably turn on symmetry just so it's a bit easier. We want this to come out at the back and then in at the front. You also want to make sure you've got the forehead right. Okay, move this in a bit here. Okay, so now that we've got that, let's go back to this. Let's turn off transparency. Let's hide this. And we can kind of get an idea of where we want it from here. So let's turn on symmetry and let's just kind of move in big chunks the sphere to where we want it. So his forehead's a bit thicker. Let's just move it kind of here. It's too much on this side. Make this a bit rounder, as it's not that flat. Smooth it out a little bit. Now I'm going to turn off symmetry and just kind of match the planes a little bit. So just being careful and just having a look at where everything is. We'll see if we can move that in so that doesn't show anywhere. Go to this side now. Prefer to move, try and move as much as you can in bulk or large pieces as you can. You don't want like random deformation in any areas really. Just want to kind of match it up as well as you can. See right there, I created a bit too much deformation. See here that it's kind of, you really want to go with his kind of thing. kind of planar here. Just smooth that out. Here we need to move it in a little bit. We have lost a bit of the ear in the process, but that's fine. Use brush clay buildup now and just kind of refine this a little bit around this area. I kind of want to use brush trim dynamic and alt to kind of make this look a bit better. Looking a bit strange at the moment. Feel like there's a bit too much weird stuff going on there. Okay, now let's append another subtool, which will be a cylinder 3D. Go to our rotate tool and switch to the subtool. Rotate it on this axis, 90 degrees, and let's scale it down a little bit. Show that. And we just want to create like the missing part of the neck, which we can probably see from this, whereabouts it is. So I'm just going to rotate it slightly, move it in. Maybe widen it out a little bit more. Let's just hide that now. Move it in a little bit. So I think I'm actually going to divide this up a little bit to make it a bit smoother. Turn symmetry on and just kind of move some of these bits about so I can get a more accurate shape. Move that up a little bit maybe, move this down. It's like trying to fill in the gaps really. That's all you're really trying to do. Let's turn off symmetry now and work on it a bit more individually. Use our brush clay buildup now to kind of match it up a little bit better. Just use downward strokes to kind of figure out what's going on. See that it kind of goes in here quite a bit. Kind of want to create a little like curvy shape here. Okay. Going to go to the previous mesh. Just try and work out what's kind of going on here. Maybe I'll even use a tool that I'm going to be using later to kind of achieve a better result of this. So what I can do is I can hide these and go to this. And I can just kind of bring all this out a little bit. And I can use projection. Kind of project some of that detail onto here so I can get a better idea of what I need to do. So you can just add some kind of strokes to kind of get some more geometry so it can project a bit better. Project all. And that's going to give you a much better idea of what exactly you need to do. Project all, project all. Smooth that out a little bit. Now if we unhide this, you should be able to see it's given us a bit better of a indication of what we need to do here. And we can go off that. Just smooth it out a little bit. It's also, the only thing is that our head isn't like that. So what we can do is we can kind of use brush dam standard to kind of create a bottom of the head kind of thing going like this. Maybe like a neck lump or clump, wrinkle. Kind of like this. Maybe pinch together a little bit more. Smooth that out. But you can see what kind of result we can achieve. Maybe I want to get this head, and maybe just for my sake or my preference, I want to move it out a little bit, because I would prefer it to be kind of a bit more like this. And then I can go back to the neck. We can maybe do this a little bit, smooth it out. Maybe use brush clay buildup to kind of bring out some kind of skin. Smooth it out a little bit. Use brush dam standard to kind of make it a bit better of a shape. And then we can just kind of stick with that for now. But the important thing is that it's all connected. So the next step here is to create all of these. What subtool am I on? Let me just check. Okay. Delete lower. I'm gonna say I'm fairly happy with this so far. So now what we need to do is we can go about this two ways. We can Dynamesh all this together, which was what we're going to do. So I'm just going to save this quickly, as I might need to go back to it. I'm just going to save it as milambelaz_2. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to merge down, merge down. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Geometry, Dynamesh, maybe turn the resolution up to, let's say, 756 or 760. So now you can see that this has Dynameshed all our objects together. Now I'm just going to go over with a rough smooth over everything to kind of get it connected. Smooth these areas out. You can see that the neck's looking a bit strange at the moment, but we can fix that later for sure. It's looking like he's got a very saggy neck. Looking a tiny bit better. But it's mainly because of these lines that you can see, so I'm just going to smooth them out a little bit. Maybe smooth this out a little. Maybe go over with a brush trim dynamic. Kind of smooth these out a little bit. Get rid of that little bit there. I touched the ear a bit too much there. Okay. And you've roughly kind of smoothed it out a little bit. You can now turn off Dynamesh, and we can go into Z Remesher. And let's say we give this a target poly count of, 5. Let's just stick with 5. And Z Remesh. Okay, so now that I'm back, and this Z Remesh is actually not too bad. This is not going to be our final mesh, so it doesn't matter too much. Let's just maybe divide this up a little bit. Go to project. Let's unhide this. And you're just going to go and press project all. If we go to dynamic solo, you can see that we projected it, but there is a problem with here. We still have the cap. And there is also some holes in the mesh. So we're actually going to have to go back and fix up some of those holes. Oh yes, I can see the hole there. So to fix holes, generally you just have to inflate a little bit, and then that'll, once you Z remesh it again, Dynamesh it. Let's turn this up to 800, the nearest to 800. Let's see if that's closed up the holes. Shouldn't be any more holes now. There was also another hole over here. See if we can find it. Okay, there doesn't seem to be any more holes now. Yeah, let's turn off Dynamesh. Let's go to Z Remesher, and let's just maybe turn it up to 10,000. Okay, so now that I'm back and we have a mesh, which should not have any holes, let's just divide up to check. I do not see any holes right now, but we have a rough outline of our mesh. So what I'm going to go is I'm just going to project all. Sorry, I'm not going to do that. Just going to divide it up a little bit now. And we're going to carry on this in the next tutorial as we're running out of time on this video. So in the next tutorial, we'll be covering projection and more cleanup and getting the mesh more ready for the next steps. So see you in the next tutorial. Thanks. Welcome to the end of this tutorial. Feel free to comment with feedback and suggestions below, and also comment on what you would like to see in future videos. Thanks and goodbye.